Have you ever wanted to speak English fluently, but as soon as you open your mouth, your mind just freezes? You know the words, you've practiced, you've studied, but when it comes to speaking, something invisible blocks you. That invisible wall, my friend, is what we call a mental block in English speaking. And today, we're going to explore it, understand it, and most importantly, break it down together. Imagine this: you're at a small gathering. People are chatting, laughing, and suddenly someone asks you a simple question, maybe, "How was your day?" You panic. Your mind races. You try to translate from your native language to English, but the words jumble up. Your hands might fidget, your heart races, and the conversation moves on without you. Sound familiar? If yes, don't worry, because this is where most English learners face their biggest challenge. And here's the secret: this is not because you're bad at English. Not at all. It's because your brain has developed a habit of self-doubt, hesitation, and overthinking. Think of your mind as a busy city intersection. Every time you try to speak English, all the cars, your thoughts, fears, memories of past mistakes rush in from different directions, and without traffic signals, chaos happens. Your brain freezes, and your words get stuck. The goal is simple: we need to install those traffic signals so that your words can flow naturally. One of the first steps is to understand that making mistakes is not the enemy, it's actually your greatest teacher. I know it feels scary. I've been there too. I remember my first time trying to speak English with a group of friends. I wanted to tell a story about my weekend, but my sentences came out broken. I used the wrong tense, mixed up words, and at one point, I literally said something that made everyone laugh. My face turned red, and I wanted to disappear. But here's the funny part: that single experience taught me more than months of silent studying. I realized that speaking is about courage, not perfection. Let's try a little mental exercise together. Close your eyes for a moment. Picture yourself in a conversation in English. Imagine a friend asking you a question. Now, instead of thinking of grammar rules, just think of the message you want to deliver. Feel the words forming naturally. Don't worry if they're not perfect. Feel the flow. This small visualization can start reprogramming your mind. Your brain begins to associate English with communication, not fear. Another technique is what I like to call micro-speaking. Start speaking English in small doses every single day. It could be as simple as describing your breakfast out loud, narrating your day while walking, or even talking to your pet in English. The idea is to remove the mental pressure. Remember, your brain is like a muscle. The more you exercise it, the stronger it becomes. And the more you exercise speaking without fear, the less your mental block can control you. Now, let's talk about fear itself. Fear is sneaky. It often disguises itself as rational thinking. What if I say something wrong? What if people laugh? What if they think I'm stupid? These thoughts might feel true, but they are just mental stories your brain is replaying. Here's a powerful trick. Whenever you catch yourself thinking these fears, literally say, "Thank you, fear, but I'm speaking anyway." Say it in your mind, say it out loud, whatever works. You are acknowledging fear without letting it stop you. Story time again. I once taught a student named Maya. She could write beautiful essays, read fluently, but when it came to speaking, she would shut down completely. She was convinced she would embarrass herself. We started tiny, just 1-minute English monologues every day. First day, trembling, but she did it. 1 week later, 2 minutes. 2 weeks later, full conversations. She told me later that the breakthrough moment was when she realized that nobody in real life cared about her small mistakes. They were too busy living their own lives. And that, my friends, is the biggest mental block breaker perspective. Here's a practical tip: record yourself speaking. Yes, it feels awkward at first, and you might cringe listening to yourself. That's normal. But here's the magic. When you play it back, you start noticing patterns, words you repeat, pauses, hesitations, and gradually you fix them. And more importantly, you begin to accept your voice and your unique way of expressing English. Your mental block loses power when you face it head on. Another reason mental blocks exist is the comparison trap. You see fluent speakers online, native speakers in real life, or even classmates, and your brain says, "I'm not good enough." Stop. Comparison is the enemy of confidence. Your journey is yours alone. Focus on small wins. Celebrate every single time you speak, no matter how messy. Small victories create momentum, and momentum breaks mental blocks faster than any grammar rule ever will. Let's also touch on thinking in English. Many learners translate everything from their native language. Translation creates a split-second delay. That delay builds hesitation, and hesitation becomes fear. Instead, try to describe things directly in English. See your surroundings, feel emotions, and put them into English words in real time. For example, instead of thinking, "How do I say this in English?" think, "I see a blue cup. I like it. It's mine." Simple, immediate, and direct. Your brain starts forming an English speaking habit. Here's a fun exercise. Speak to yourself like a news reporter. Every morning, pick an object, an event, or your own feelings, and narrate them in English as if millions are listening. Today, I drank coffee. It was hot. I felt awake. Keep it short, keep it simple. Do it daily. Within a few weeks, your brain will automatically create English sentences without overthinking. And finally, remember the power of storytelling. Humans are wired to connect through stories. When you focus on telling a story rather than speaking perfectly, your mental block begins to dissolve. Start with small stories: what happened today, a funny incident, a memory from childhood. The more stories you tell, the more your confidence grows and the easier speaking becomes. Now, let's dive into another secret weapon against mental blocks: repetition with variation. Think of it like practicing scales in music. If you play the same notes every day in the same way, you'll get better, but only slightly. If you play the same notes with different rhythms, speeds, or moods, your skills skyrocket. The same applies to English speaking. Take a simple sentence like, "I like coffee." Today, you say it slowly, focusing on pronunciation. Tomorrow, say it excitedly. The next day, add a little story. "I like coffee because it wakes me up in the morning." Each variation strengthens your confidence and flexibility in real conversations. Let's talk about another tricky part: negative self-talk. Sometimes, the mental block isn't about fear of others, it's about fear of yourself. Thoughts like, "I always mess up," or "I'm terrible at speaking," are like poison. The first step to clearing this poison is awareness. Every time you notice a negative thought, Pause and ask, is this really true? Most of the time, the answer is no. Then, replace it with a small, positive statement. I am learning. I am improving. I can speak. Say it to yourself, write it down, repeat it daily. Your mind begins to trust your words, and the block starts melting away. Here's a story from my own life. When I first started speaking English, I had this recurring thought. I'll never sound natural. People will laugh at me. Every attempt felt like failure. But then, I tried something unusual. I recorded my voice and deliberately made mistakes on purpose. I would exaggerate wrong pronunciation, funny pauses, and silly sentences. At first, it was uncomfortable. But soon, I realized making mistakes could be fun. And when you make mistakes with joy instead of fear, the mental block doesn't stand a chance. Another powerful technique is chunking. Don't try to construct perfect sentences in your head word by word that's a trap. Instead, learn phrases as ready-made chunks. For example, I would love to, in my opinion. That reminds me of. These chunks give your brain a shortcut. When speaking, you don't need to think from scratch. You just plug in the right words, and your sentences flow naturally. It's like having pre-built bridges to cross over your mental block. Now, let's do a live mini exercise. Pick a topic, maybe your favorite movie or a recent meal. Speak out loud for 2 minutes without worrying about grammar. Don't stop. Don't correct yourself. Just flow. If your mind blanks, describe what you see around you instead. The goal isn't perfection, it's momentum. Speaking continuously, even imperfectly, trains your brain to bypass the block. Let's also discuss body language and voice. Believe it or not, your posture, gestures, and tone can either strengthen or weaken your confidence. Stand tall, take a deep breath, and let your voice be steady and clear. Your body sends signals to your brain. I am confident. Even if you feel nervous, acting confident can trick your mind into breaking the mental barrier. I remember teaching a student who whispered every word out of fear. We started practicing with gestures, moving hands, standing while speaking. Slowly, her voice grew stronger and the block melted away. The body leads and the mind follows. Another tip is embracing silence. Many learners panic when there's a pause in conversation. They feel they must fill every moment with words. But silence is natural. Pausing shows thoughtfulness, not weakness. Practice pausing for a second or two, even mid-sentence. You'll notice your mind relaxes and words flow more easily. Let's not forget listening and shadowing. Mental blocks often appear because your brain is unused to hearing real English in real time. Start listening to native speakers not just for words, but for rhythm, intonation, and pauses. Then shadow them. Repeat exactly what they say, mimicking speed, tone, and expression. Shadowing builds automaticity in your speech. Your brain begins producing English naturally, bypassing the fear that causes mental blocks. Here's a story that illustrates this perfectly. A student of mine, Raj, used to freeze when speaking. He listened to a short podcast every day and repeated it aloud, shadowing every phrase. After a few weeks, his sentences started coming out faster, smoother, and more confidently. His mental block had no choice but to step aside because his brain had built a new, automatic pathway for English. Now, let's explore mental rehearsal. Close your eyes and imagine a real life scenario, a coffee shop, a classroom, a work meeting. Visualize yourself speaking fluently, smiling, interacting naturally, making small mistakes but recovering gracefully. Your brain can't tell the difference between imagined practice and real practice. The more you rehearse mentally, the less intimidating the real situation becomes. This is one of the most powerful ways to preemptively break mental blocks. And here's a mindset shift that changes everything. Stop thinking about fluent English. Start thinking about effective communication. Your goal is to connect, share ideas, tell stories, not sound perfect. When your brain focuses on connection instead of perfection, fear disappears. You speak from the heart, not from a grammar textbook. Finally, let's discuss consistency over intensity. Many learners practice intensely for a day or two, then stop because it feels exhausting or stressful. Mental blocks thrive in inconsistency. The key is small daily actions. 1 minute speaking a short story, a recorded sentence, shadowing a podcast, chatting with a friend. Every day you speak, even for a few minutes, you weaken the block. Over weeks, months, you'll see incredible transformation. Now, let's explore speaking in layers. What does that mean? Imagine building a cake. You don't just dump all the ingredients in at once, you layer them carefully. Speaking in layers works the same way. Start with simple sentences. I went to the park today. Next, add details. I went to the park today, and I saw children playing soccer. Then, add feelings or thoughts. I went to the park today, and I saw children playing soccer. It made me feel happy and nostalgic. By layering your speech gradually, you train your brain to expand sentences naturally instead of freezing under pressure. Here's a practical exercise for that. Pick a short event from your day, maybe eating breakfast or walking to school. First, speak it in one line. Then, expand it with what you saw. Then, add what you felt. Do this repeatedly with different events. After a few weeks, you'll notice your sentences flow effortlessly, and the mental block starts to disappear because your brain knows exactly how to build sentences step by step. Let's talk about partner practice. Many learners avoid speaking because they're afraid of real reactions. But pairing up with a supportive friend or even another learner is a game changer. Start small. Ask and answer simple questions like, "What's your favorite food?" or "How was your day?" Then progress to short discussions, debates, or storytelling sessions. The key is your partner is a safe space. You can make mistakes, laugh, and try again. This consistent, low-pressure practice trains your mind to speak English without fear. I want to share a story about a student, Samir. Samir was terrified of speaking English. Every sentence felt like walking on a tightrope. We paired him with a friend, and they did 10-minute daily conversations about simple topics. At first, he hesitated, stumbled, and even laughed at his mistakes. But gradually, he started forming longer sentences, his voice became more confident, and eventually, he could speak English naturally with strangers. The key was repetition in a safe environment. Now, let's touch on power phrases, short phrases that act like a safety net when you're stuck. Examples. Could you repeat that, please? I'm not sure. But I think. Let me try to explain. Whenever you feel your mental block coming, use a power phrase. It gives you a moment to breathe, reorganize your thoughts, and continue speaking. Over time, these phrases become second nature, and your fear of pausing or hesitating starts to vanish. Here's a fun, interactive exercise. Talk to an imaginary audience. Imagine you are giving a speech, telling a story, or explaining your favorite hobby to a large group. Speak for 5 minutes straight. Don't stop. If your mind blanks, describe what's around you. The goal is to build confidence in speaking continuously, which directly weakens the mental block. Another technique is mimicking emotional expression. Often, learners focus on perfect grammar and forget that natural speech carries emotion. Choose a short sentence, like, "I can't believe it." Say it happily, angrily, surprised, excitedly, every emotion you can think of. By practicing emotional speech, your mind links English words with feelings, making them easier to recall in real conversations. Let's dive into storytelling practice, which is a powerful mental block breaker. Start with short personal stories, your morning routine, a memorable trip, or a funny incident. Speak out loud, focusing on sequencing what happened first, next, and last. Then, add adjectives and emotions. I saw a huge, bright yellow dog running quickly across the park, and it made me laugh so hard I almost fell. Storytelling trains your brain to construct sentences naturally, weaving together vocabulary, grammar, and expression without overthinking. Here's a student story. Lena was frozen when speaking English. I suggested she keep a daily story journal. Each day, she spoke aloud one story from her notebook. At first, it was only a minute or two. Weeks later, she was telling full 5-minute stories without stopping. Her mental block didn't stand a chance because she trained her brain to think, feel, and speak in English simultaneously. Now, let's discuss breath and pacing. Many learners rush their words out of nervousness. This rush creates tension, which strengthens mental blocks. Practice taking slow, deep breaths before speaking. Speak at a steady pace, pausing naturally between sentences. Your brain will have time to organize thoughts, and your speech becomes calmer, more confident, and more fluent. Another method is question chains. Start with a simple question. What did you eat today? Answer it, then ask yourself another related question. Why did I choose that food? Then another. How did it make me feel? Keep chaining questions and answering in English. This builds natural conversation flow and teaches your brain to move from one thought to the next without freezing. Finally, let's talk about celebrating progress. Every word spoken, every sentence formed, every tiny victory matters. Keep a log of your daily speaking practice. Celebrate even the smallest improvements. Your mental block loses strength when it sees that speaking English is becoming easier and more rewarding. Positive reinforcement rewires your brain for success.